Welcome back to the Ridge Motorsports Park, about an hour and a half outside of the city of Seattle. It is Superbikes at the Ridge. It is round number 5 of the 10th anniversary season of the MotoAmerica Championship, but our attention is on Stock 1000. It's time for race number 1 here this weekend. Our pole sitter, Hayden Gillum, able to put in a 1:40.9 during qualifying, and just so impressive. Stock 1000 did not race here in 2023, but he is almost a second and a half clear of what the riders were able to do back in 2022. So for Hayden Gillum, you see the smile on his face. It's just been a perfect weekend for him so far, but that was through practice and qualifying. It is now time for the race, and as the points leader, he knows that the pressure is certainly on. Let's take a look back at the highlights from Brainerd, race number 2, Roger.
Yeah, race number 2, see Hayden Gillum, we just talked about, really good start. They're on the Honda, Benjamin Smith, good start, Ashton Yates, Jason Urube, all those guys, all the title contenders up there early on. You see Ashton Yates really aggressive, riding so great. Hayden Gillum was pulling away. He was quicker than all the guys all weekend. Jason Urube there making a pass on Benjamin Smith, but Hayden Gillum down into turn 4 makes a huge mistake, crashing, tried to get back in the race, but you know, that wasn't possible. Ashton from there led this race all the way toward the end. They're putting in the good laps. Jason Urube there back in MotoAmerica, able to make the pass down into turn 3 on the white flag lap, and able to hang on over Ashton Yates and Benjamin Smith. The Bryce Prince right there close to the penalty. But you can see what that means to Jason Urube, able to come there and get his first Stock 1000 win.
We talk a lot about momentum in motorsports, and Jason Urube has carried that momentum all the way into being on the front row here this weekend. He has also had a really solid showing. It's going to be a great battle between these guys. As you look at the points, 75 points for Hayden Gillum. Jason Urube right there, 16 points back.
Only 16 back, and Bryce Prince, Ashton Yates, and Benjamin Smith, the top 5, all within 1 race of points.
We talk about it going to be an exciting race. All the competitors are down there, and with that, we're going to send it to the 3rd member of our broadcast team, and Michael Hill.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. Well, everybody, this is one of the ones that we've been waiting for, isn't it? Stock 1000. The last round at Brainerd saw a little bit of a change in the championship, a mistake by the championship leader and the defending champion, Hayden Gillum. He's not going to want to do that today, because this guy over my shoulder, Jason Urube, got his first win at Brainerd. We're going to start with Jason. He is the man at the moment who won the last race. All eyes are on him. He's had a great weekend so far. He's put it in the middle of the front row of the grid. Jason, how are you feeling? You've got a nice view down to turn 1, I've got to say. Nice clear run.
Yeah, it is pretty nice being on the front row. Definitely makes my life easier. I think this race, we're going to try our best to just get a good gap in front of us. I don't know how it's going to play out. We got a bunch of people that are all pretty close in time. So first step, just get through the first turn and then kind of go from there.
Obviously, looking at the lap times, a little bit of an advantage to Hayden, but you've been slowly plugging away, haven't you, closing that gap. Racing is always very different to qualifying. What are you expecting? There is a few little spots of rain here as well in the air. Not wanting to make you think about tyre changes, but there is a little bit of dampness in the air as well.
A little bit, yeah. I think Hayden definitely has the 1-lap pace. He's on another level as far as outright pace right now, but I think our race pace is looking really good. We got a bike that's pretty good on tires, pretty easy on tires, and I have a little bit of a bonus experience riding here in the wet on slicks before, so hopefully that'll kind of come into play, and we'll go from there.
Thanks, Jason. Good luck. I want to move now then on to the pole man. And as Jason said, hopefully we don't need to worry too much about the weather, but there is a little bit of dampness in the air, a few little spots of rain, but one guy that's not going to be too worried about that is Hayden Gillum. Man of the moment, leading the championship, your arch rival right alongside you. How are you feeling going into this one?
I'm feeling good. Just try not to make any stupid mistakes today. So, like that one at Brainerd. So, we're having fun. The plan is to keep it on 2 wheels. However, whatever happens, how it shakes out. That's how it's supposed to be.
Obviously, the championship is long, and as you've kind of already said yourself, you can't afford another mistake. These guys are regularly picking up the points, and you got to get points. That's the main thing. Yeah,
that's the big thing. We've got a decent little lead right now, but you know, one more race like that, and that won't be there. So yeah, I don't know. I'm enjoying myself. I like this place, and bike's working really good. So yeah, we're just gonna try and get a good start and see what happens.
Good job. We'll let you get focused, Hayden Gillam. Then the defending champion goes from pole position. We're now going to move across to the outside of the front row of the grid. We've got a Honda on pole position. We have BMW in the centre, and then a second Honda down here with Ashton Yates. Pops obviously on the photograph duty, but you're not thinking about that right now. You're thinking about getting a good run down into turn one. You've done the hard work. You've got yourself onto the front row, Ashton. Your thoughts about this?
Yeah, we're just going to try to get a good start and see if we can be at least on the outside of this first turn so we can be on the inside of the next turn, and just try to go from there and latch on to Hayden or put in some good laps and stay consistent and be up there in the front.
Thanks, Ashton. Right, I want to get a bit of a shift on now and move on to the second row of the grid. So we've had a Honda, two Hondas, a BMW. Let's move along and speak to the top Yamaha. That is Ben Smith. He has been in the mix for a lot of these races. He is going to be in the mix today, I am sure. Top Yamaha once again, and not too far off the front row. You're going to be in the podium fight today. No pressure.
Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah, we had a solid qualifying this morning, dropped a decent amount of time from yesterday. Like I said, we're making the Yamaha YZF-R1 work. The team's giving me a great bike this weekend, so just stay in this podium fight, this top 5 fight, and just be there week in and week out. That's the plan.
Good luck for this one, Ben Smith. Let's move along then to the middle of the second row of the grid. Let's just elbow Jason Pridmore out of the way. Hello, buddy. How are you? Come on, just very quickly, how are you feeling? Obviously, we're going to talk to Andrew in a second, but how are you feeling, obviously, from a rider-coach perspective? Very different to being a rider.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that never racing here too, Michael, I think is a big difference for me because I've never got this feel down that front straightaway, but Andrew's going to do a good job, as is Nolan and some of the other guys I get the pleasure of working with, so they'll be all right.
Good job. Thanks, Jason. Of course, Jason, part of the broadcast team with Greg White. We'll be handing over to him a little bit later. This guy knows how to win races, knows how to win championships. He's a double champion in Stock 1000, and you've put this Motorsport Exotica BMW right in the mix.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a trying start to the year, but the team's, we kept our head down and we're pushing. We could see the front row this weekend, which is a better start than some of the other ones, and yeah, we just got to put our head down and see what we can do.
All right, good luck in this one. Mallory Dobbs on umbrella duty as well. God, she gets on the grid more than me. It's unbelievable. Right, very quickly, got a chance for 2 more interviews very, very quickly if we can. Nolan Lampkin, just about to put on the helmet. How are you feeling going into this one? It's been an up and down weekend, a couple of times, a couple of incidents, but that's behind you now.
Yeah, feeling good for this race. Excited for the Stock 1000 Race 1. Thank you to Visit Indiana, Tom Wood Power Sports. It's been an interesting weekend. I had some stuff in the very first lap, warm-up, but, it is what it is, and excited to move forward.
Good job. We'll let you get the helmet on. Right, let's move back if we can onto row number 3. Travis Wyman is going to start from that 7th position on the grid, and then alongside him in the middle, the number 75, another one of the Honda riders, and that is Richard Kerr. He is going to go from the middle of the 3rd row. He's been inside the top 6. He's fighting hard in his first season in MotoAmerica. We don't have very long left, Richard, so I don't want to deter you too much, but not too far away from the front here. Not too bad looking in qualifying. What could we get from you in the race today?
Definitely better than 8th anyway, but let's just see how far we go up.
All right, we'll let him go. He's a man of few words, and again, we're getting quite close. There is Bryce Prince. He will go from 9th position. Then it's Danilo Lewis. He is going to head off on row number 4. Alongside him, Gabriel Da Silva. And then this grid that just goes way, 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 way back, all the way down. It's a full grid down here for the Stock 1000 race. We have only got about a minute until we need to clear the grid. So, in fact, we're being told to clear the grid now. So we're going to hand back upstairs to Jamie and to Roger. Stock 1000. It never fails to disappoint. I'm going to be watching this one with interest. It is going to be a great race.
Thank you for that, Michael. It's always great to be able to hear from the riders down there in those final moments before the helmets go on, Roger. And, Michael always does such a great job bouncing back and forth. But as you listen to them talk and, you see like the face of Hayden Gillam and just how calm he is, and whatever happens, that's what was meant to happen. But then, other riders that there's a lot more stressful.
A lot more stressful, and I think for Hayden, with the pace he's shown this weekend, I think it helps him relax a little bit. The stress is making sure he doesn't make the mistake like he did the previous weekend. But the stress on all the other riders is because from 2nd all the way down to, Dion Campbell in 12th is really, really close. And that battle is going to be tough. And, we've talked a lot, too, this weekend about that first chicane and getting through there clean with all these riders. That puts a lot more stress on you going into the race, just hoping you can get through that first chicane clean.
Exciting lap is already complete. Everybody out on the grid. It is now the one more lap before we're going to go racing. This will be the warm-up lap for everyone as the riders are all getting ready. You see Benjamin Smith there. It's going to be a great opportunity for him. He's another one of those riders that just stays as calm as he possibly can up until that very last moment. But Jason Uribe, coming off of that win last week, is going to be a great opportunity for him, as this is the number 10 there. That was Travis Wyman. He needs a turnaround weekend as well. This is going to be an exciting race.
MotoAmerica Stock 1000 coverage is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Beautiful scenery all around the Ridge Motorsports Park. It's a great racetrack here. Roger, take us around the 2.4 miles.
Yeah, it's a great track. It's really tight, really technical. Good handling bike through turn 1, 3, 4, all the way through turn 5 is going to be key, through 6. Down into turn 8, a tricky corner. Turn 9 is really quick. And then a left, right, down into the slowest part of the track, turn 13. Downhill into 14, and from there you're trying to set up through 15, through 16, onto the front straightaway. It's tight, it's technical, it's not easy to pass. A good start is going to be huge today.
We talked about it during qualifying and how important the qualifying session is, just due to the nature of the racetrack and how difficult it is to make those moves stick when you need to pass. This is how they'll line up once they pull back around. Hayden Gillum, our pole sitter, Jason Uribe, and Ashton Yates rounding out that front row.
Yeah, Benjamin Smith, a couple problems yesterday, but ended up 4th overall. Andrew Lee and Nolan Lampkin 6th.
Nolan had his issues as well. And you have Travis Wyman, Richard Kerr, and Bryce Prince on row number 3.
Danilo Lewis, Gabriel De Silva a little further back than he would like to be, and Dion Campbell.
Row number 5, we've got Bradley Ward, JC Camacho. We saw him working on his bike during that lunchtime break, and then Anthony Norton rounding out row 5.
Augustin Sierra, Alex Arango, and Bobby Davies there, 18th.
Going back to row number 7, we have Tyler Bingford, Dan Dickerman, and John Knowles.
Manuel Segura and Stephen Shakespeare there, 23rd on the Ducati this year, and Joseph Giannotti.
Yeah, Stevens, that Ducati is actually not working. You see, last is Mike Bishop rounding out row number 9. But for Stephen Shakespeare, he's actually on last year's bike this week, and he's back on the Suzuki as they're still trying to figure out that Ducati program. Take a look at the weather. 73 degrees, but the clouds have started to get thicker, and we heard some reports of potential moisture out there in the air. But right now, the track is dry, and everybody is getting ready to go racing. Michael, what is it like right now in terms of the weather?
Well, I can tell you that it is actually not raining anymore. There was a few little spots of rain. The rain definitely has stopped, but it's very, very cloudy. It feels quite humid down here as Gabriel De Silva just pulls into position. But I think we're going to be good for a dry race, Jamie.
That's good news. We had a beautiful morning. Clouds moving in. You see the starter out of the way. Lights are on in the left-hand portion of your screen. Lights on, revs up. Lights are out. It's time to race. Stock 1000, race number 1 here at Ridge Motorsports Park.
Hayden Gillum with a great start through pole position there. Going to be the first guy through the chicane. You see it gets tight. Some ride looks like Benjamin Smith got into somebody and lost the spot.
And he shuffled back a little bit. Jason Uribe able to hold on to second for the time being. But Hayden Gillum with that launch at the start, he's already pulling away from everyone. And this is what they did not want to see.
Did not want to see. And Andrew Lee with the great start as well. He's already worked his way into 3rd. But these guys do not want to see Hayden Gillum out here doing what he's doing. He's already pulled out almost a second lead headed into turn 6.
Andrew Lee starting back in 5th, able to make quick work of getting himself up there into the top 3. But you can see Ben Smith there in 5th already trying to fight back on Ashton Yates.
Yeah, Nolan Lampkin, good start for him, and then just tight through that first chicane. You make a mistake. Richard Kerr also with a really good start. It's tricky that first lap. As you see Hayden Gillum just so good at putting those good laps in. Jason Uribe looks like he's trying to pull away a little bit from 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th is all in one big battle.
Jason Uribe, the only other rider besides Hayden Gillum that's been able to win so far this season. It came in that last race back at Brainerd Motorsports Park where he got his first win, and Hayden Gillum set out, but that bike is completely rebuilt, and it's the same bike that he did crash back at at Brainerd, and the team just had to get to work on it and able to repair it, and it's been quick all weekend.
Quick all weekend. You know, that's a good thing about Hayden. He's been with, you know, some of those crew members for a long time, a lot of trust, and got that bike back just like it was, and you can see in Hayden, it hasn't slowed him down a bit.
Now starting lap number 2. This is a 13-lap race here in race number 1 for Stock 1000. During qualifying yesterday, you know, Hayden Gillum was talking about the fact that he was working on some race pace. Unfortunately for everybody else in the field, his race pace was consistently in those low 140s.
Yeah, his race pace was about a second quicker, at least, than the other guys. But you never know. Track conditions are a little bit different. You see Jason Roubaix actually is keeping Hayden within 1 second that first lap. We know this is a track, Jason's home track. He's got a lot of laps here, so you never know what can happen. You see Ashton Yates is trying to find a way around Andrew Lee. We talk about this track really hard to pass. When you try to pass somebody, you really got to set it up a couple corners early to make it.
Andrew Lee on that opening lap was able to have that good start and make his way up there around him. So now Ashton Yates is going to have to get around him, as will Benjamin Smith, and this is going to be a battle that's going to go for a couple of laps at least.
And the thing with Ashton, he wants to try to make a pass, but it puts him in a tough spot, because if he runs a little bit wide making that pass, he's going to lose a spot to Benjamin Smith. Jason Roubaix looks like he's closed the gap down to Hayden a little bit this lap, and we're going to see as they get through this last part of the track.
You're right, that gap did not look nearly as big as what it was on the first lap of the race for Hayden Gillum. Being in control of the pace, though, that's the scary thing. He knows where everybody else is. He knows what speed he has on board, but Jason Uribe is not going to give up, and he has closed it from 8/10 the last lap to just 6/10 this time.
Yeah, and for him, that was a great lap. The Stock 1000 race record was a 42.2 that last lap. Jason Uribe breaks it with a 41.4, so you can see already the pace is hot.
That's great for Jason Uribe. We talked about the momentum coming off of that win and having such a solid weekend so far at practice and qualifying and being right back up there where he wanted to be, and then be able to go out there on just the second lap, break the track record that was here from 2 years ago. And for him, like, that momentum, it just continues to roll.
Continues, and I think Hayden is in a bit of a tough spot. Doesn't want to make a mistake like he did the previous race, so just kind of taking it easy early on, trying to feel it out, as we see Ashton still trying to find a way around Andrew Lee, but Andrew's riding great, not making any mistakes. He's making it hard on Ashton.
And Benjamin Smith is right there. We can't forget that he is right on the tail end of Ashton Yates, and he's ready to pounce at any particular moment. But you also see Nolan Lampkin. He's in the mix also. He had an issue on Friday during the practice session, and for him, he's had to rebound. That team had to rebuild the motorcycle for him also, and they're getting low on parts, and he certainly wants to repave it with a podium result.
And this lap, he's definitely closed down in that podium battle. So Benjamin Smith as well. You see Jason Uribe is really just keeping, I'm impressed, he's keeping Hayden honest.
See if anyone improves on closing these gaps down, as Hayden Gillum, that gap has now stayed at 6/10 of a second, a 1:41.713 that time by for Hayden Gillum. But Jason Uribe, he's right there with him. It's so impressive that he's able to catch onto the back of him, and now he's going to put the pressure on.
Jason Uribe's lap time then as equally as impressive as what we are seeing from Hayden Gillum. And a question for Roger, really, you've been in this situation, this kind of the tortoise and the hare, isn't it, where one is leading, one has had the advantage, and the other rider just chipping away. How much of this is natural talent from Jason Uribe, Roger, and how much is it just the fact that his confidence level is absolutely through the roof? He's got that self-belief, and you know, as a rider, that's worth a couple of tenths a lap, and we're seeing it now as he's physically closing in on Hayden Gillum.
I think you mentioned that the confidence winning and being fast, and then also his confidence is going to continue to grow as he stays with Hayden each lap and sees Hayden not pulling away from him, and that confidence, and for him, he's in a really good spot there to see if he can close down that battle. And another thing, he wants to stay close enough to Hayden where maybe force him a mistake, where he's not just comfortably out there cruising around.
You can see those two have pulled a substantial gap over that battle for third place is Ashton Yates and Benjamin Smith are still right there on the tail end of Andrew Lee, trying to get themselves into a position where they can go for a podium. We are on lap 4 of this 13-lap race in the first race for Stock 1000. And Ashton Yates didn't get the start that he wanted, so he's had to work. But look, Nolan Lampkin there on the number 21. He continues to get closer and closer to the back of Ben Smith.
Yeah, right there on the battle. So he got into turn 1 a little bit deep there. That's hard to do when you're behind there. You really want to try to close somebody down. You can see what happened. He gained on the entry, but killed his drive on the exit there. But Nolan's doing a great job tagging on this group.
When Jason Uribe came back this season and said he was going to be in for the full championship, you know, back at Barber Motorsports Park, Hayden Gillum just dominated that whole weekend. He won the first race by over 11.5 seconds, the second race by over 10.5 seconds, and went into Brainerd, and everybody thought, okay, the rest of the field is here. We're going to close this gap up, and Hayden Gillum took the win again by 7.5 seconds. So Jason Uribe said, no, I'm tired of this. We're not gonna let him get away anymore, and completely changing the strategy of the race today, staying right on the back. But this battle for third with Andrew Lee, this would be a great result for Andrew Lee, being up there into the top and still being in contention for a podium. But Jason Uribe is not letting Hayden out of his sight.
Yeah, and Jason is just getting quicker each lap. His last lap, 41.6 was his best lap of the race. So he's consistently doing those good laps and applying that pressure. This is a spot that Hayden hasn't been in this year. He's, like you mentioned, the margin of victories he's had in the previous races. This time he's got some pressure, and we'll see if Hayden is just managing this race as it goes on.
Both of these riders are able to continue just repeating these 141s, these mid 141s you see on the graphic there. They're just same exact lap times, right? Like you see how consistent both of them have been able to be, and no other rider out there has dipped into the 141s at race pace. So they're just pulling away from the rest of the pack, but this battle for third with Andrew Lee leading Ashton Yates continues.
Yeah, this is a great ride for Andrew Lee. We talked to him before the race, talking about the year hasn't gone the way he would like, and this is going to be a great showing for Andrew, and it's going to be a huge boost for him as this season goes on. Two-time Stock 1000 champion. We know he's got the talent. Been a little bit off so far this year, but this weekend he's really starting to put it together.
Yeah, he's two-time champion, winning those first 2 championships of the category back in 2018 and 2019. He had 11 wins accumulated between those 2 seasons, and then out of the mix for a while. Coming back, the competition is hot, but now he's put his name right back into the hat as saying, I'm still a rider that's able to be out here and be in this front group. And Ashton Yates will go back and he'll look at how hard he's had to push through the first half of this race after not getting the start that he needed and wanted to get, and he's gonna have something to work on for tomorrow, just in terms of a better race start and not having to push as hard, because as we're in the second half of this race now, who's pushing and who's controlling, and what do they have left?
For Ashton, it's hard to he can't get close enough to try to make a pass. He's right there behind him. See Benjamin Smith going over that curve. He's just not getting close enough to be able to try to make a move. And you know, we talk about tire wear a lot on these big 1000s as this race goes on. Now we're on lap 7. Tire wear could come into play with grip as this race winds down.
And even though the clouds are out now, the sun was out all morning, so the track is warmer than what it was yesterday. And through the practice and the first qualifying session this morning with that sun out, they did get a taste of it. But now the clouds are out. It's a different racetrack.
It's different for these guys, and that, you know, they're trying to feel it out early on. You know, we see Ashton's starting to look like he's getting a little bit more racy as this race goes on. They put a little bit of a gap on Benjamin Smith and Nolan Lampkin.
Benjamin Smith now half a second back of Ashton Yates, who is not giving up the chase on Andrew Lee to get back onto that third step of the podium, as Jason Uribe and Hayden Gillum continue to just pull away from the rest of the field. They're now, gosh, over 7.5 seconds ahead. You just saw them come through the frame, and as we wait now for Andrew Lee to come through the shot, you can see exactly how much that equals to in terms of track position.
Yeah, it looks like this lap Hayden's kind of pulled out a couple tenths, so we'll see with Jason, but just so impressed to keep Hayden so close. You see Ashton there making some moves on the brake. He's going to run a little bit wide there and open the door for Benjamin Smith, who's actually kind of lost a little bit of time to these riders. Beginning of the lap, but the second half of the lap is where Benjamin's able to close down.
And if you're listening to us here on MotoAmerica Live Plus and you're on your computer, you can continue watching and listening and also pull up the timing and scoring section, and you can actually track whether each rider is better than the other as you look at timing right now. And you can see that Jason Uribe, that last lap was just a little bit, like 0.02 of a second slower than Hayden Gillim. That's how close these two are, just identical lap times that both of these riders are being able to turn right now. And it looks like Andrew Lee is pulling away just a little bit from Ashton Yates.
Yeah, just like this part of the track, it seems like Ashton is able to close up. It's kind of easier when you're behind somebody to follow him through his 3, 4, 5. Going into that really long turn 6, seems like Ashton's able to close a lot as they get into this next left-hander.
You know what's so impressive also is looking at these lap times at the front two are turning right now, 1:41.5. The best lap of the race so far was that 1:41.4 that Jason Uribe put in on lap 2. So in the second half of this race, these riders are right there going after that time with 7 laps now on the tires.
Yeah, we talk about consistency and grease pace being so important, and you see that today. The top 2 guys, their best lap, and each lap is within a couple tenths.
Benjamin Smith is right there on the back of Ashton Yates. He's not taking his name out of that hat yet, Michael.
No, he's absolutely not. Just watching the live timing down here in the paddock as well. A lot of people in the paddock watching this one, and just slowly but surely chipping away is that number 78 Yamaha. And he's right now on the back wheel of Ashton Yates as they come down into the waterfall. Has he just been playing a watching game here, Roger Hayden? You've been in that situation before. You don't have to win the race on the first lap. You've only got to be there at the end. Has Ben Smith timed this absolutely perfectly?
It just looks like these 4 are just so evenly matched. They have their strong suits, and they catch up, and then they lose. And, you know, it's just as the lap goes on, they just seems like they're always in the same spot. The guy behind can close the gap, but he doesn't get close enough to be able to make a pass. But we'll see now that the tires are going to get greasy, so we'll see if anybody's been holding anything out. If they have been, it's going to be time now as this race winds down to start making some moves.
And as we're watching this battle continue to heat up, Hayden Gillim from the lead has just put down the best time of the race of 1:41.435 for Hayden Gillim, and that breaks the track record that Jason Uribe set on lap number 2. So times continuing to heat up here for our race leader, our championship leader, but Ashton Yates right there on the back of Andrew Lee. He wants that 3rd step on the podium, and it would be this with 5 laps to go. We're getting close to the time where is he still watching, or is it time to get around him and then control it?
Yeah, and Ashton's in a good spot here. He's been able to follow Andrew Lee this whole time and kind of see where he's able to make a move or not. And you can see Jason Uribe there second. You can see the little bit of a gap now that Hayden Gillim has pulled out this lap.
And it all comes down to that pace that he was able to work on unloading so well on Friday, and getting a good time down and early on in the qualifying session, be able to turn his attention to how many of these laps can I do. And for Hayden, he's such a smart competitor, and he's got such a great team behind him that was their strategy going in. But Jason Uribe is, what a great weekend for him so far, and making his return to full-time competition. He's saying, my name is still here. I've also won this season, and I'm capable of doing it again.
Yeah, and just for him, he's a little bit over a second now, and he's kind of, as this race winds down, he's losing, not able to be able to do those mid-41s like he was early on in the race. You see this battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. You see Ashton is just right there trying to get close enough to make a pass, but Andrew is just not leaving any doors open for him to make a move.
Andrew knew that by getting that start and putting himself up there right from the get-go, he was going to have to go into defense mode, and he has been able to do that. Hasn't put a wheel wrong, and making Ashton Yates have to get around him instead of leading him. It's changed the way that this race has unfolded for both. And Benjamin Smith, who had closed right to the tail of Ashton Yates, is a little
There goes Ashton. Wow, that was a good
Saw
pass.
the opportunity and he took it. Ashton Yates now making up that third spot on the podium, but it's not over yet. We still have 4 laps to go in this first race of Stock 1000.
Yeah, still time to go, and that was a good pass for Ashton. Kind of went a little bit high and just went for it and fully committed, and I think he surprised Andrew Lee a little bit getting into there.
I think you're right, because that allowed Benjamin Smith to close that gap a little bit also, and now he's right on the back of Ashton Yates. Or of Andrew Lee, sorry.
And now we're going to be able to see, does Ashton have more pace? Was he being held up a little bit by Andrew Lee or not? And Ashton's going to have some clear track now if he wants to try to pull away and not get caught up in that battle.
It didn't look like he was ever being held up, but do you think he was just being patient?
Well, I think just, looked like he had a little bit more speed, but wasn't able to get enough speed to really make a pass. So we'll see. He's already, pulled away almost about a half a second. You see Ashton pushing hard. You can see the rear grip as you see going down into turn 8. He's kind of high, setting up and just shoots straight for the apex. Andrew Lee is using the traditional racing line, wide entry to hit the apex on the exit, but it opens up the entry.
See a reaction there from the team down on pit lane as they've been biting their nails the whole time watching that battle continue to unfold, but Ashton Yates now sitting in third. Andrew Lee still right there with 3 laps to go, but we can't forget about Benjamin Smith, who's right behind him.
No, Andrew Lee's did a great job. He's right there on Ashton, so now Ashton's kind of in a different position. He's the one with the pressure on him, with the guy behind him trying to make a pass.
And we talked about it. We got about to the halfway mark, but were they pushing too much? Do they have enough tire left? This is where we're going to see it with 3 laps to go. And were you overworking what you had to get to the end?
And you see Ashton's kind of, he's moving around a little bit more on the exit, like he's really trying to put the power down and struggling with grip a little bit, but Ashton is still really good at able to get off those corners, even though the bike is moving around. Coming into lappers as well, this is going to play into part. They're having their own battle, and they're not going to, they don't have rear view mirrors on these bikes. They're not going to know that faster riders are coming up behind them. See, Ashton's going to try to make a pass there. On the front straightaway, Andrew Lee's going to try to get by as well, and we'll see Benjamin Smith is able to make it or not.
With 2 laps remaining in this race, traffic now coming into play is still anybody's game. As you see riders looking over their shoulders, Stephen Shakespeare there making sure not to get in the way of this battle, and Andrew Lee was right there when the door was open, but Ashton Yates said nope, not quite yet.
Yeah, Ashton did a really good job fighting right back there as he got held up to that lapper a little bit. See Ashton now a little bit wide. He's really pushing hard. He knows the race is winding down, and he knows how hard it was to make the pass back and knew he needed to strike right away.
How smart of Andrew Lee, though, recognizing that there was an opportunity, tried to take advantage of it, but Ashton was still in the picture, and he knew that if he was going to hold on to it, it was now or never. 2 laps remaining. You see Benjamin Smith there at the back. He was able to get through the traffic also. Opened the gap just a little bit between himself and Andrew Lee, but he's certainly still right there.
Hayden Gillum now, he's pulled out a little bit more of a lead out to about 2 seconds. So definitely kind of able to keep that pace. Jason Urube did a great job keeping him honest early on into this race, but Hayden has just been able to maintain his lap times throughout this whole race.
It all comes down to the consistency as the white flag is now flying the final lap of the first race for Stock 1000 here at the Ridge. You watch this battle continue between Ashton Yates, who is currently sitting in third, and Andrew Lee, who wants that podium finish so badly, sitting in it through the first, 9 laps of this race, and Ashton Yates being able to take it over as they are now starting their final lap. You go back up front, you see Hayden Gillum still coming in through traffic. This is what he was talking about on the grid. He said, I just have to be smart. Got to be calculated. Don't make any mistakes. He certainly doesn't want to beat himself when he's ridden a race as perfect as this one, being able to build just a little bit of a gap over Jason Uribe. It's not nearly what we have seen through the first 3 races this season. Jason Uribe has certainly found some pace and has closed that gap that Hayden Gillum had over the rest of the field, and this championship is going to really start to heat up.
Yeah, and Hayden's did a great job pulling this gap where he's able, when he comes up on those lappers with only one to go, he can be a little bit patient, maybe not as aggressive, and as Hayden said before the race, just don't beat himself, most importantly.
Such great audio around the racetrack. You can hear bikes squealing. For Hayden Gillum, not having to push. The issue here on the final corner of this first race of the weekend, Hayden Gillum taking home win number 4. Kicking off race number 1 here at the Ridge Motorsports Park, Jason Uribe finishing in second as we watch the number 27 of Ashton Yates. Still has Andrew Lee right there behind him as these two riders complete the race. And Ashton Yates, he was patient, made the pass, made it stick, and he will round out our podium. Andrew Lee finishing 4th. Benjamin Smith able to take the checkered flag to finish out the top 5. But it all came down to Hayden Gillum.
Yeah, just his race pace, just the consistency, and got a little bit quicker as the race went on and was able to slowly build a gap.
See Hayden taking a moment to wave to the fans. He'll take this cool down lap.
MotoAmerica Stock 1000 coverage is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Finishing the cool down lap now, as you see Hayden Gillum will make his way over to celebrate at the podium. You know, Michael Hill is over there waiting. Just a perfect start to this weekend for Hayden as he comes back. That team put in so much work to rebuild that Honda for him, and he was able to repay it. You can pop in the wheelie, all the fans. But look at that race pace, Roger. This is what you're talking about.
Just the consistency for the second lap, 41.7, all the way down to lap 9. Right there, all within a tenth, and then from there built the gap, able to slow down a couple tenths a lap and still maintain and pull away a little bit. And that's what he does. He does that in practice, and then when the race comes, he's able to translate that over.
Great group of fans out here this weekend enjoying the show that Hayden Gillum is putting on for him as he comes back around. Let's take a look at the full results from this first race. Yes, give him a big round of applause, everybody out there. It was a great race. We all got to watch Hayden Gillum with the win over Jason Uribe, and then Ashton Yates finishing out the top 3.
Yeah, great ride for Andrew Lee there in 4th. Benjamin Smith there 5th. Nolan Lampkin 6th. Danilo Lewis 7th. Bryce Prince 8th. And Richard Kerr lost a couple spots toward the end down in 9th.
As we look at 10th through 17th, we got Travis Wyman, Dion Campbell, Gabriel Da Silva, Bradley Ward, Augusta Sierra. It was a good run inside of the top 15. JC Camacho taking home the final point of the day.
Final point, Mike Bishop there 16th, and Anthony Norton 17th.
Take a look at some of the highlights. This race certainly did not disappoint. There were a plenty, Roger.
There was a lot, and Hayden Gillum there from pole position. What a great start from him. Right there getting off the line. You can see the gap. See Benjamin Smith in 3rd there, got into the rider in front of him. See Ashton, Andrew Lee, Benjamin Smith, all those riders through this battle from 2nd to 4th. Was going through it the whole race. See Ashton just trying to figure out where can he make a pass. He followed him for 8 or 9 laps, not able to make a move, and eventually he was able down into turn 8 be able to make the move. That was a really aggressive pass, a really strong pass. I think Andrew Lee was not expecting it. Came into lappers there, and Andrew Lee, look at that, chose the right line, able to get the spot back, but Ashton right there just did not want to do all that work all over again. Passed him right back down into turn 3, but Hayden Gillum, just the race pace, we've seen it there. You can see how far he's pulled out there toward the end of the race. A little over 2 seconds, getting another win. Jason Uribe, 2nd today, but a great ride for Jason.
It was the closest of the races so far this season in terms of the gap between 1st and 2nd. As you see, Hayden has now made his way over, getting to celebrate. See JD Beach there helping out with the children as Hayden Gillum goes to get his mark, and you know Michael Hill is down there.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. Just giving Hayden a little bit of time to talk to the family, brings his little one up onto the podium to celebrate Daddy's success. Just give him a second to readjust himself. Don't want to drop the baby. That would not be a good one. Hayden, cracking job once again. But I tell you what, you were made to work for that one. Jason kept you honest.
Yeah, he was right there, and it was good. I knew he had some speed, and I figured those guys would find a little bit from this morning too. So it was good. It was a fun race. He made me push, and yeah, it was. I'm really happy. Get back up on top. Got her up here with me, little Ellie, and I want to give a shout out to my brother and my sister-in-law. They just had a little boy 2 days ago, and yeah, it's really awesome. This is for them.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to you. Congratulations to them. Looks like we've got a future Hannah Loper there, a future Jamie Howe. She actually likes the microphone, doesn't she? Right, let's move on across then to Jason Uribe. As we said on the grid, we weren't sure what kind of race that was going to be, but you got stuck in there. Nobody can say that you didn't try for that one. That was a cracking ride. Good job.
Thank you. I knew that his pace was going to be next level, and I was just trying my best to see what I could do in the initial few laps. The start was a little hectic. I didn't get a great one, and I had some rubbing on my shoulder all going on to turn one, but overall, yeah, I'm happy just to take home second. I got about halfway through and realized that, it's just not worth the risk. We got a few more races ahead of us, so we got to play it smart, and got home second.
Absolutely thinking of the long game, and of course Jason stays second in the championship as we move across then to speak to our final podium finisher. Nice round of applause for our top two. Keep that applause going for Ashton Yates, who was involved in a multi-rider fight there. Probably glad you didn't have mirrors on the bike because there were so many bikes behind you at one point, but great riding there, great racing, great overtakes with Andrew, and in the end that podium, so good job.
Yeah, I was towards the beginning there, I was trying to make her move and try to go at Jason and Hayden if I could, but it was pretty difficult, and Andrew was pretty strong in some areas and I was strong in other areas, so I was kind of trying to size them up to make a move there toward mid-race or towards the end, and luckily finally got around them, and then ran into some lappers and got close to one guy and got around him. Andrew made a pass, and then I passed him back luckily, and then just kind of made consistent laps there because I felt like the tire was going off a good bit there towards the end, but made it happen.
Yeah, you did indeed. That is our top three from down here, Jamie and Roger. Of course, the Stock 1000 come tomorrow. Listen to this crowd down here. They're going crazy.
Yes, a great group of fans has made their way over. How cute is that, Roger?
Yeah, those are going to be great photos for the rest of their life there for Hayden, and great memories. The baby's not going to remember it, but Hayden will.
No, I think he's going to be in trouble, though, because she was not going to give up that seat. You take a look at the championship point standings now. Hayden Gillum with 100 points. It's a 21-point lead that he has over Jason Uribe and 29 points over Ashton Yates.
Yeah, and Ashton's been really consistent and got himself there in the third. Bryce Prince, 35 back, and Benjamin Smith rounding out the top five.
And Bryce Prince had a string of podium finishes coming into today. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more racing right after this.